Something really crazy is happening to me. I need to stop it, but I don't know how.
A mysterious curse is spreading from person to person, and eventually die with a horrifying smile on their face. And this time, the next victim is a famous pop star. 6 days after the death of Rose Cotter, the curse has now passed to police officer Joel. He knows exactly how the entity works, and he is desperate to survive. Joel tracks down 2 criminals in Newark, the same men who recently murdered a mother and her child. His plan is simple but horrifying. He wants to kill one of them in front of the other, so the curse will pass to the witness. Joel enters the room and confronts them. One of the criminals asks who he is. Joel calmly tells them he has something to show them, and that they need to watch very carefully. Then, without hesitation, he pulls out a knife, stabs one of the men, and slashes his throat. The second criminal panics and shoots Joel, but Joel fires back in self-defense. The problem is, he did not want that man to die yet. He rushes over and begs him not to die, because if there is no living witness, the curse cannot transfer. But the man dies anyway. Joel stands there in frustration, realizing everything has gone wrong. There is no one left to pass the curse to. Then he hears movement behind him. He turns and sees a young man named Lewis, who says he only came there to buy drugs. Lewis has just witnessed the whole thing. Joel apologizes and says none of this was meant for him, but before he can say more criminals arrive outside. Gunfire erupts. Joel tries to escape through a window, but the second he gets outside, he is struck by an oncoming car and killed instantly. The curse has now passed to Lewis. From there, the story shifts to Skye Riley, a world-famous pop star trying to rebuild her life after a devastating car crash. She is preparing for a major comeback tour, and everything around her is carefully controlled. Her image, her schedule, her behavior, all of it is managed by the people around her. After an interview, Skye greets her fans, signs autographs, and takes selfies. Her mother, Elizabeth, praises her for handling everything gracefully, while her assistant Joshua excitedly tells her that she is trending online. On the outside, Skye looks polished and successful. But underneath that polished image, she is exhausted, hurting, and clearly not okay. At rehearsal, Skye suddenly feels a sharp pain in her back while dancing. The instructor, Anton, immediately stops the rehearsal and asks if she is okay. Skye insists that she is fine and tries to continue, but it is obvious that she is struggling. She is trying very hard to keep up appearances, even when her body is telling her otherwise. Later, when she is alone, she reaches into her bag and pulls out a box of pills, clearly looking for pain relief. But a knock at the door startles her, and she accidentally drops the pills into the sink drain. It is a small accident, but it makes her panic, because she has been relying on medication to function. Desperate for something stronger, Skye goes to see Lewis. The moment she arrives, something already feels wrong. Lewis pulls her inside and, in a paranoid panic, even holds a sword to her throat, before realizing who she is. Skye nervously tells him she only wants Vicodin like last time because her back is hurting badly. Lewis seems confused and says he does not even remember texting her to come over. His behavior is erratic, scared, and deeply unsettling. Trying to calm the situation, Skye tells him to relax. Lewis apologizes and says he has been going through the worst week of his life. He asks her if she believes in weird things, as if he is trying to explain what is happening to him, but he is too terrified to say it clearly. Skye, already uncomfortable, says she just wants the pills. Lewis tells her to wait while he gets them. While she is waiting, Skye notices drugs scattered around the room. Then her eyes are drawn to the television, where a news report is playing about Paul Hudson, her dead boyfriend. The report says Paul died in the car crash that happened after he and Skye left a party intoxicated. Photos of Skye after the accident are shown on screen, reminding her of the scandal and shame that followed. Disturbed, she turns off the TV. When Lewis takes too long to come back, Skye slowly starts walking toward his room. Suddenly, Lewis bursts out screaming. He stares behind her in absolute terror, as if he sees something standing right there. Skye asks what is wrong, but Lewis only screams at the thing to get away from her. He starts choking and panicking. Skye moves closer, asking if she should call an ambulance. Then everything changes. Lewis suddenly becomes calm. A grotesque smile slowly spreads across his face. Skye freezes in fear. Without warning, Lewis picks up a heavy gym weight plate and smashes it into his own face. He does it again and again until his face is destroyed. Then he collapses and dies right in front of her. Skye is horrified. She pulls out her phone and almost dials emergency services, but then she notices all the drugs lying around the apartment. Panic takes over. Instead of calling for help, she runs back home. She tries to convince herself that what happened was real, but somehow explainable. That night, as she is trying to sleep, she hears a strange noise. She gets up to investigate, scans the room, and for a brief moment sees Lewis standing there. The second she turns on the light, he vanishes. The next morning, Elizabeth tells Skye she looks exhausted and reminds her that she has to stay on schedule. Everyone around Skye talks about appearances, obligations, and maintaining the comeback, but no one seems to care what is happening inside her mind. Elizabeth suggests reaching out to Gemma, Skye's former best friend, saying true friends are hard to find. Skye resists, clearly ashamed of whatever happened between them. Later, Darius, who is involved in her professional life, asks her for a favor. He tells her there is a fundraising dinner for a charity supporting underprivileged youth, and he wants her to appear as a special presenter. He reassures her that she will not need to do much. She just has to smile, read from the teleprompter, and look supportive. At a photo shoot later on, Skye is distracted and visibly uneasy. Her face shows that something is seriously wrong. The traumatic memory of Lewis's death keeps replaying in her mind. She begins searching strange questions online, including whether vomit contains DNA, because she remembers vomiting at Lewis's apartment after seeing his body and is terrified she may have left evidence there. Then she gets a text from an unknown number asking, "Were you at Lewis's apartment last night?" That message sends a wave of fear through her. At the same time, she starts hearing noises around her. When she turns, Lewis appears behind her for just a second, wearing that same disturbing smile. Then he is gone. Then he is there again. In one especially terrifying moment, he reaches toward her and forces a smile onto her face, as if mocking her helplessness. Skye is breaking down, but then her team walks in and starts arguing with her about a dress for an event. She says she is not wearing it. Her team tells her she is overreacting. They treat her distress like a diva tantrum, completely missing how frightened she really is. At the next event, a strange fan named Alfredo approaches her and says he can see her sadness. He tells her he can make her happy, compliments her skin, and behaves in such a disturbing way that security has to pull him away. Even after he is removed, Skye remains deeply unsettled. Backstage, she keeps thinking about the unknown messages and about Lewis. Desperate for someone she can trust, she finally calls Gemma and leaves a message apologizing for everything that happened between them. She says she misses her and asks her to call back. Gemma does call back. Skye sounds overwhelmed and vulnerable and asks if Gemma can come over. Gemma agrees. While waiting for her, Skye drinks from a water bottle, leaves it on the table, and sits at the piano. She starts singing softly, trying to calm herself. Then she hears a noise. When she looks over, the bottle is shattered on the floor. She grabs a mop to clean it up, but then notices Alfredo's signed shirt on the ground. Then she sees his shoes, then more of his clothes. The lights suddenly go out. When she looks up, Alfredo is standing naked in front of her, smiling. He lunges at her, and Skye stumbles backward in terror, only to suddenly find Gemma at the door. Gemma asks what is going on, and Skye tries to explain, but when they look around, Alfredo is gone. Even stranger, the shattered bottle is back on the table as if nothing ever happened. Skye, desperate for comfort, hugs Gemma and asks how she got there so quickly. Gemma says she has actually been there for about an hour, which makes the timeline even stranger. Skye starts drinking water compulsively, explaining that her therapist told her to drink water whenever she feels like relapsing into alcohol. Then she finally tells Gemma what happened at Lewis's apartment. She admits she had gone there to buy painkillers. She also says she has not touched alcohol or cocaine in a year, but her back pain has been pushing her toward bad decisions. She describes Lewis's death in detail, how he seemed terrified of something invisible, then smiled, then crushed his own face. Gemma is shocked, but she tells Skye not to go to the police. If her name gets connected to a drug dealer's death, it could destroy her life and career. Gemma tells her it is not her fault, and Skye clings to that reassurance. That night, Skye has another nightmare about the accident that killed Paul. In the dream, she is trapped again in that violent moment, forced to relive the guilt she has been carrying ever since. When she wakes up, she apologizes to Gemma for everything in the past and says her mind feels like pure chaos, like she is trapped in darkness with no way out. At first, Gemma responds kindly, saying she forgives her, but then Gemma's tone changes. She tells Skye that the reason she feels this way is because she is a horrible person. A creepy smile appears on Gemma's face. Skye falls backward in terror. Then, just like that, the real Gemma arrives, and Skye realizes the previous conversation was part of another hallucination. By now, the lines between reality and nightmare are becoming impossible for her to separate. At rehearsal, later that day, Skye suddenly sees a terrifying face flash in front of her and falls hard, screaming as if her leg is broken. Everyone rushes over, but when she looks down, her leg is completely fine. Skye tries to explain that someone was out of place and knocked her over, but Anton says no one touched her. From his point of view, she simply collapsed on her own. Backstage, Skye sees Joshua pass by with a creepy smile. She goes into her room and finds it trashed. She becomes convinced Joshua did it. Joshua claims he has no idea what she is talking about. Elizabeth tries to calm Skye down and then directly asks whether she has started using drugs again. Skye denies it and even offers to take a test, but she also admits that she feels like she is losing her mind. Instead of truly listening, Elizabeth tells her to pull herself together and attend the charity event anyway. At the event, Skye is clearly not in the right state to be there. She stands in front of the audience and begins reading from the teleprompter. Suddenly, the screen stops working. She tries to improvise and starts talking honestly about her past addiction and struggles, but the audience reacts badly. She realizes she is making the situation worse. Then the teleprompter starts working again, but now it introduces the next guest as Paul Hudson, the dead boyfriend she killed in the crash. Skye freezes. Then she sees Paul standing in the audience, smiling at her. Terrified, she starts screaming at him to stay away, insisting that he is dead. Other people in the room only see Skye having a public meltdown. An older woman approaches to help her, but in her panic, Skye shoves the woman, injuring her. Now the breakdown is public. Soon after, the unknown texter tells her she is in danger and can help her. He sends her a video Lewis recorded before he died. In the video, Lewis points the camera toward a dark corner of his apartment and whispers that something is standing there, staring at him and smiling. This finally pushes Skye to meet the stranger. The stranger explains that his name is Morris. He says he found Lewis already dead and saw that Skye was the last person he had contacted. Morris tells her that Lewis did not simply kill himself. He was infected by a metaphysical entity, something like a spirit or demon, though Morris does not pretend to fully understand it. He explains the rules. The entity appears as smiling people. Only the current host can see it. It feeds on trauma and fear, slowly breaking down the host's mind until it forces them to commit suicide in front of someone else. That witness becomes the next host. Morris says he has traced the chain of victims back through multiple people, including a cop in Jersey, a doctor, and others. He reveals that his own brother was once a victim. Skye thinks it sounds insane, but Morris points out that if she had not already seen impossible things, she would have walked away by now. Deep down, she already knows what he is saying is true. Skye asks if there is any way out. Morris tells her there is only one theory. If the host dies outside the entity's control, the chain might break. His plan is to stop her heart temporarily and then bring her back before any permanent damage is done. Skye is horrified. To escape the creature, she may have to die first. She is not ready for that yet and leaves. Back at home, the entity attacks in one of the most horrifying hallucinations yet. Skye suddenly sees her backup dancers standing around her in the living room, all smiling unnaturally. They begin moving closer and closer. No matter where she looks, more smiling figures block her escape. They grab her, throw her onto a table, slam her head into the piano, and pin her down. One of them forces a hand into her mouth in a grotesque, impossible way. Then everything cuts away. Skye wakes up in a private wellness clinic. Elizabeth tells her she fainted at home, hit her head, and was found unconscious. Doctors say she is dehydrated and sleep-deprived. Skye insists that is not what happened, but no one believes her. Her phone is taken away, her schedule is being controlled, and worst of all, her mother tells her that the show is still happening. If she cancels now, Elizabeth threatens to send her to a recovery program and says her career will be over. Skye finally explodes, accusing Elizabeth of treating her like a machine instead of a daughter. Elizabeth fires back, saying she has sacrificed everything for Skye and that Skye is too selfish to appreciate it. Their argument becomes deeply personal and painful. Then the entity takes over. In Skye's eyes, Elizabeth suddenly smashes a mirror and approaches her with a shard of glass. The creature, speaking through her mother's body, taunts Skye about what she is doing to her poor mother. In the chaos, Skye struggles and the scene turns violent. When it ends, Skye believes she has killed Elizabeth. Covered in blood and terrified, Skye escapes the clinic. Joshua notices the blood and tries to stop her, but she grabs a guard's gun and forces everyone back before fleeing. Outside, she sees Gemma and asks for help getting away. They drive off, heading toward Morris. On the way, Gemma argues that Skye needs a hospital, but then Skye receives a phone call from Gemma. The voice on the phone says she just heard Skye's voicemail and is calling back. Skye slowly realizes the horrifying truth. The Gemma in the car with her is not real. She has been hallucinating again. The entity mocks her, telling her Gemma hates her and that no one cares about her. Skye keeps repeating to herself that it is all in her head and that she is in control. But when she opens her eyes, she realizes she is the one driving and nearly causes another accident. Finally, Skye reaches Morris and gives him the gun. She tells him that if his plan fails and if she starts smiling, he must shoot her in the head. Morris takes her into a building and then into a freezer room. He warns her that once the freezer door closes completely, it cannot be opened from the inside. He explains the procedure. As soon as her heart stops, he will start an 8-minute timer. Then he will inject adrenaline directly into her heart and perform CPR to revive her. Skye thanks him. She apologizes for his brother. She says every good thing in her life ends up destroyed because of her, and she refuses to let this thing use her to hurt more people. Morris briefly steps out to get something, leaving Skye alone. That is exactly what the entity wants. Blood starts dripping from above. Then Skye sees the creature in her own form, hanging overhead and crying. A second later, it drops down onto her. It attacks her violently, slamming her around and telling her it has been waiting for her for a long time. It says it enjoys wearing her skin. It tells her she can never escape who she truly is inside. Skye fights desperately and grabs the needle. She injects herself, and for a moment it seems like she has won. But then the creature starts laughing. There is no needle. None of this is real. The entity tells her again that she is not in control. It is. Then, the world changes. Suddenly, Skye is no longer in the freezer. She is standing on stage at the opening night of her tour, in front of a massive cheering audience. Her team is there, smiling proudly. It feels like reality has reset. Then the creature appears in Skye's own form, smiling. It rips open her outfit and exposes the scarred, damaged body beneath. Then it tears into her stomach and seems to crawl out from inside her. In Skye's mind, the entity is literally being born from her trauma, guilt, pain, and self-hatred. The audience can only see Skye having some kind of breakdown on stage. Skye screams. The creature comes closer. It forces her face open wider and wider in one final impossible image of horror. Then, in front of the entire crowd, Skye slowly lifts the microphone, still smiling, and drives it into her own eye. The audience screams. The crowd has now witnessed her death, which means the curse has just been passed on to countless new victims at once. And with that, the movie ends. Thank you, and see you in the next video.